Oh, hey there. I'm student producer Torian Smith, and you are now watching MATC Now.
For what it's Earth, MATC is going green. We'll learn about a student with a passion for remnants of Earth's ancient fossils. Then we'll check out MATC's new electric power line facility at the MEC OnCampus. Plus, expect to get some insight into how MATC is striving to respect our environment through sustainability initiatives and green educational programs. Remember the magic words: reduce, reuse, recycle. All this and more on this episode of MATC Now. Good afternoon and welcome to this week's episode of MATC Now. I'm your host, James Charles. Thanks for joining us. We have our co-host Tyler Ida with us today.
How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for being on the program. And I understand that you're sort of our on-campus expert when it comes to e-waste and recycling some used items we have.
Yeah, so e-waste is one of my responsibilities. We turn over a lot of computers, accessories, monitors, peripherals that need to be disposed of in the proper manner.
And some of those get reused in the community. They go out to other businesses, charities,
Yes.
and so forth.
Yep. Yeah, and that ties into another part of my position. I do the auction here, repurposing and helping reuse older equipment.
Excellent. So it sounds like nothing's ever put to waste whenever we can find a better place for it on campus.
Yes.
All right, Tyler, thanks for being with us and explaining what you do. It's always good to meet somebody that really embodies the work of reducing, reusing, and recycling. We're glad that you're here in our community with that.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And speaking of MATC's facilities, I hear field correspondent Shannon O'Dwyer is getting charged up about a facility at the MEC OnCampus. How's it going over there, Shannon?
Thanks, James. We are here at the MEC OnCampus about to learn about the EPD program. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get back to climbing to my future. Hey, which one of you took my tool belt?
Whoa, thanks, Shannon. That sounds exciting and dangerous. I can't wait to see what that program has in store for us. We'll get back in with you later. Many students juggle heavy workloads with school along with the demands of daily life. Student passion reporter Lasierra Flowers met an MATC student who turns to paleontology and fossil collecting as a way to unplug and unwind.
Biology, theology, and pathology are just some few sciences that help us determine when and how things are created. I'm Lasierra Flowers, and this is another Student Passion Report. Slowing down and being in the present is how student Frances Bresser stays connected. Frances is a student in the animation program here at MATC. While they learn character design, they also spend their time discovering preserved remains that continue to be found here on Earth.
When I was younger, I was just into science as a whole, and I ended up kind of gravitating towards paleontology along with a couple of other fields. I remember especially with paleontology, I was really interested in dinosaurs. I had a bunch of dinosaur figures. And then on top of that, my grandparents, they have this little property around Lake Huron that has a ton of fossils. That was definitely something that kept me hooked for a very long time. I like seeing the cool little animals in the rock, That's kind of how I got into it.
When did you start collecting fossils?
I'd say the vast majority of my fossils, most of the fossils that I find, are from either here at Bradford Beach. Bradford is probably one of the biggest, but it's also kind of the most busy beach around Milwaukee, or from my grandma's cottage. You get a lot of corals. I mean, you're bound to find a lot of corals in any any Paleozoic period, really. There's also horn corals, which are like these little like triangular corals that look kind of like horns, or I think of them as like looking like shark teeth, except kind of rounder. There's also these really, really cool chain corals, which just look like weird little spider webs across like the rock, and they're very, very pretty to look at.
Everything surrounding us has to do with some sort of science. Francis encourages others to admire parts of the world that seems to go unnoticed.
You can find fossils anywhere. They're a lot more common than you would think. Overall, they're just really cool little bits you find. It's just good to know our history, even if it isn't exactly, like our history is living things, I'd say. It's cool to know where we come from and our roots. It's especially interesting to like, you kind of need the fossil record to like sort of study how like creatures on Earth sort of like adapt and like, I mean, not necessarily operate, but like how they evolve. I think if you're able to understand the Earth's history, then you can like use it to apply what's happening, you know, like to the Earth currently. Much like regular history with people, you know?
Knowing about Earth and the science behind it helps us get a better outlook on the world we live in. This helps us learn the different parts of our natural world and the qualities of life. I'm Lasierra Flowers, and this has been another Student Passion Report.
You know, it's incredible to know you can find and collect your own fossils right here in Milwaukee.
Yeah, and now that the weather's getting a little bit warmer, good time to go outside and do a little fossil hunt.
Power runs to homes across Milwaukee and beyond every day, but have you ever wondered what is needed to ensure the lights stay on? Let's check back in with our field correspondent Shannon O'Dwyer, who's at our OnCampus power plant facility. Shannon!
Thanks, James. Like I mentioned earlier, we are here at the OnCampus in the Electrical Power Distribution Program. And here to teach us a little bit about this program is instructor Matthew Randall. How are you doing today?
Another great day at MATC, Shannon.
Well, good. Thank you for being with us. And could you tell us a little bit about this program?
Sure. The Electrical Power Distribution Program at OnCampus and also in Milwaukee is a one-year diploma program. We study the basics of line building, stressing safety and efficiencies.
Now, I see that we have a ton of stuff on this table and then the one next to us. Could you tell us a little bit about what this is?
Absolutely, Shannon. All of the tools that you'll find on these tables are tools that we're going to routinely use in classroom as well as out in the field. We have insulated tools for working on energized lines along with a bunch of different hand tools.
Now, safety seems to be a really important feature of this work, especially considering we're dealing with electrical power and potentially really dangerous stuff. I was all hooked up before. Could you tell me about what I was wearing and why it's so important?
Oh, absolutely, Shannon. You're 100% right. Safety is, first and foremost, the main thing that we have to stress here at MATC. The tools that you see here on the table are the tools that you were using earlier. You have hooks that you use to climb the pole, body belts that keep you onto the pole, as well as hold your tools.
Now, walk me through. We've got another person over here, one of your students, that is actually wearing the full gear. What's he wearing?
Absolutely. Well, starting at the bottom, you can see the hooks or the climbers that Jacob is wearing on his feet. These are the parts that dig into the pole that allow him to stay suspended. He's also wearing a body belt, which keeps the tools onto his side at the ready so that he can build pretty much any power line that he needs to with that belt.
Excellent. Now, aside from this workshop that we're in now, what other facilities do you have that students can use to learn this job?
Excellent. Well, the program runs all year long, and we need to sometimes simulate and practice in an inside environment. We have this indoor lab, where we can simulate all of the different facets that happen in the outside world.
Now, you're right, it is a little cold out here right now, but we're out here for a purpose. So, I see that we have some really large trucks right next to us with these really big dig thingies. What do they do?
Yeah, Shannon, what you're looking at are digger derrick trucks, and the dig thingies that you're referring to are augers, and those are the augers that we use to dig the holes in order to set the wooden poles that we're going to have to climb.
Okay, so in the back over here, we've got some wooden poles. Do you put those up?
Absolutely. The students here at MATC build and create all of the structures that they create.
Cool, very cool. Now, next to us here is another truck that I'm a little bit more familiar with. What are they working on over there, and what's this do?
Yes, this is a standard distribution bucket truck. The boom goes 55 feet in the air, and the students use it for performing different tasks when they're not in the part where they're climbing the poles.
Now, aside from this, what kind of jobs can a student get once they leave MATC?
Once the EPD program is done and you receive your diploma, you'd be ready to start as your first step apprentice into either the construction side or the utility side of building and repairing power lines.
About how many people, give or take, work on a pole at one time?
At any one time, you might have two, maybe three people on any particular pole. Crews are anywhere from 4 to 6 people.
Wow, very cool. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us today. I learned a lot, and it was really cool to see your program here.
Excellent. Well, I think it's time for you to get back onto the wood.
Oh, I guess you're right. I better get back to work. See you in a bit, James.
Thanks, Shannon. What a unique learning facility that really focuses more on practical learning rather than just theory. Like a specially designed part, the Tool and Die program carefully crafts a student's skills. Student producers Nicholas Moore and Azael Alvarez explore this hands-on and unique program. But first, enjoy student producers Ethan Ramirez and Darius Jackson's short film on why you should recycle.
You, filthy, you're dirty, you're a junkie, you're filthy, you're dirty, you're...
MATC has over 150 programs across 4 different campuses and 7 different pathways. There is one program that has a unique process students follow throughout the program. Ira D. Smith is an instructor for the Tool and Die Making program at MATC's downtown campus. He works to develop skills that students will need out in the field.
From the beginning of the program, they machine parts on our manual Bridgeport. the parts that they machine on the manual bridge ports follows them all the way to the grinding lab. The purpose behind that is to get the students to understand that how you start a part in terms of making sure that you're in specifications and dimensions and tolerances makes a huge difference once it comes to this department, because now you do not have a whole lot of leeway as it relates to not following the print to its specification. So here, the students have to learn how to manually grind, understand the different concepts of grinding, how to set them up safely, because as you can see, they're open machines, which means that they're not enclosed, which means that our setup has to be extremely rigid. So to get the students acclimated, we get them on the manual grinders so that they can get comfortable with the machine. How we develop our students is we take them from the ground level and we teach them the basics of machine tool operation. How to read a basic blueprint, how to do machine trace math, how to read a micrometer. So what we try to do is integrate them with some of the basic one-on-one skills and then build from there.
Alongside learning the basics of machine operations, students like Isaiah Loy also learn to utilize different skills that assist in machine operations.
In this program, I'm learning kind of mathematics, setting up toolage, dressing, all types of things, but it's mostly concerning in which operation you're using. And I'm currently at service grinding at the moment, so I'll be dressing the wheel, attaching the wheel, setting up operations.
Working with machines may seem complicated, but there will always be a welcoming feeling when walking into a lab or class.
I think there's a space for everybody in this industry. I work with the UAA, which is the Uniquely Abled Academy students, which are high on the spectrum. Everybody can work in this industry.
Students can add what they make in class to the portfolio and show it off to future employers.
Continuing to give our students, I think, a very hands-on experience I think it's invaluable. And it was something that was gave to me when I was a student here in 94, 95. So I just want to continue to pass that baton, to the future generation of students, so MATC Now.
Well, that is a sure way for someone to learn why they should recycle. And I'm sure the tool and die students will go far with their ability to create things in such detail. It's always great to hear about that baton being passed on to the next generation of students who no doubt will have great skills to offer the world. Speaking of people making great waves in their work, we're joined today by Kevin Pulse, a water regulation and zoning specialist. Kevin, welcome to the discussion today.
Thanks, thank you, James, for having me. It's Keenan, by the way, but thank you, James and Tyler.
I apologize for that.
No worries. Kevin's a notable name.
Right.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited to answer some questions. And
right.
A little bit
We're here talking today about Earth Day and water sustainability. Talking about clean water in our community. What do people need to realize about what efforts it takes by government and by societies to keep water clean for everyone to drink from the tap?
Yeah, absolutely. And we are blessed in the state of Wisconsin to have such clean water. It does depend on the area of the state you were in, granted, but for the most part, having been all around the U.S., I come back home. And I'm very grateful for the resource that we have, and it's on the individual as much as it is on regulatory agencies to do their part in protecting this water. I mean, a lot of people, there's so many uses for the water that we these water resources that we have. I mean, think of our bodies, our own bodies are comprised mainly of water. as well. So, you know, people love doing all sorts of stuff in our waterways. You know, in Wisconsin we have a great deal of lakes and river systems.
Recreation.
Yeah, recreation. Personally, that's one of my favorite things to do in Wisconsin is recreate in my local waterway, the Menominee River Parkway. And you know, yeah, there's obviously, as you mentioned, it is something that we consume very, very highly, and a lot of people aren't as fortunate to be able to turn that tap water on and enjoy a nice cold glass. You know, it's definitely certainly on the individual to, you know, for educational purposes, understand a little bit more about this valuable resource. I also think it's on us to you know, to contact our representatives and be involved in the process to make sure that on a regulatory top-down level we're taking good care of our water.
Agreed.
Could you take us through maybe a little bit of your job and what you kind of do day to day?
Sure. Yeah, I work for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. I will mention I'm not speaking on behalf of them, but I do have a great deal of professional educational experience in water science. It's primarily my background, and water laws is my profession currently. So my position pertains a little bit more to a certain statute of Wisconsin law, Chapter 30.12, as it pertains to waterway structures and wetland structures, which do, you know, what we put in the water and what we put in the wetlands does have a direct impact on the water quality and whatnot. Now, my specific section, it's hard to piece any one part from the other because it's also interconnected. My specific position deals a lot more with regulating and making sure that people aren't placing, you know, out of compliance structures within the waterways, within wetlands, and you know, so things such as piers or boat houses. You know, if you want to protect your shoreline, we want to make sure that you're not just throwing a bunch of cement in the water and calling it a day.
Yeah.
You know?
So just because you own the land, certainly there's rules about what you have to do with the water surrounding that land.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Wisconsin is a very unique state in that regard, and as it pertains to the water is a public resource. The waterways and the lake beds, river systems are technically public land. So if you are to, you know, you do have special permissions as someone who owns or who lives on the land abutting the water, but at the same time, that is everybody's water. That's
excellent.
It's
Everybody's water. I
mine.
think that's a good note to end on. It's everybody's
Absolutely.
water. And Keenan, thanks for coming in today and explaining all of what you do and how you help our community stay safe and keep clean water flowing from that tap.
Oh, thank you so much, James. Thank you, Tyler. You guys
Thanks.
are the best.
All right. Your mother and your doctor may try convincing you to eat more fresh fruit. Well, here's a lady who's finally found a tasty way to do it. Let's see what Chef Aiyana's preparing for us today in the kitchen next door. Chef, smells amazing from my end.
Hey, thanks. The springtime morning breeze is very close, so why not make everyone's favorite breakfast item to wake up to? Pancakes. That's right, we'll be making pancakes, but not just any pancakes. We'll be adding some fresh fruit and some other tasty toppings. Let's get started. The ingredients you will need for this recipe are pancake mix, cut strawberries, cut bananas, chocolate chips, whipped cream, syrup, and butter. Make sure you have the necessary items to make the pancakes as well. You'll also need a bowl, a hand whisk, a spoon, pan, knife, plate, fork, and measuring cup. The beautiful thing about pancakes is they can come in all shapes and sizes and can be done to your liking. To get started, you'll need a bowl and some pancake mix. Our recipe calls for 2 cups of the mix and 1.5 cups of water, but since I'm making these for myself, I'll be doing about half of that. So 1 cup of mix and 3/4 a cup of water. One cup of mix, and then 3/4 a cup of water. You want to make sure that you're hydrating all of the pancake mix in your bowl, because the last thing you want to do is bite into a nice crispy fluffy pancake and come across a flour stone. All right, once that's done, we can get started on our fruit. We have strawberries and bananas. Did you know that strawberries aren't the only kind of berries out there? There's also white, pink, and yellow and golden berries. But strawberries are the only ones with seeds on the outside. The fun fact about bananas is that bananas technically aren't a fruit, they're an herb. They don't grow on trees and they don't grow on bushes, so they can't be considered a berry or a fruit. But they do grow on something called a pseudostem, which is similar to what orchids and irises grow on. So we're going to cut that in half lengthwise, flip them onto the flat sides, and just give a couple of cuts across. Now that we have that done, now that we finished cutting up our fruit, we're going to set that aside and get our pan nice and hot. So I've already got a pancake ready in here for you, and I'm going to go ahead and take some of these bananas that we just cut and place those in there, as well as some strawberries. I'm going to make sure that these are tucked in there nice and tight before checking the edges, giving this a nice little loose flip around. 2 hands on the pan. 1, 2. Check that out. Nice and golden, right? So we're going to give that a couple more minutes to cook. And while we're waiting for that, we'll get our toppings ready. So aside from the strawberries and bananas that I put inside, I'm also going to have some chocolate chips on top, as well as some whipped cream and maple syrup. You could say I'm a glutton for pancakes. Now, while your pancakes are cooking, make sure not to burn yourself. You don't want this to be the last time you're allowed in the kitchen. These are also called griddles or flapjacks, and they date as far back as 600 BC, I believe, and we could credit the Egyptians with that. They were known for their honey and barley cakes, which also are the origins of our birthday party cakes. Now that our pancake is all done, you should have time to plate them up and add our delicious toppings. Get your spatula. Drop that on your plate. And here we have a beautiful flapjack. Just a couple of sprinkles, chocolate chips. You can add your whipped cream and your syrup. And if you have any extra toppings, go right ahead and go crazy. Now that you're done assembling your pancakes, you can enjoy them. These are simple, yet so perfect and delicious for your next meal. Thank you for tuning into today's cooking lesson. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Chef Aiyana. Now let's see what James has for us in this week's MATC Minute.
Whether you like it or not, we've officially sprung into the new season. Expect average temps and less rain compared to last year's spring, which was the 3rd wettest spring in Milwaukee's history. Students who expect to graduate this spring or summer semester must apply for graduation by the 31st of March. Apply through self-service. Email your questions to commencement@matc.edu. A special screening of the Milwaukee PBS documentary Kids in Crisis, You're Not Alone, a documentary focused on youth mental health, will be held at the Oak Creek campus cafeteria at noon on March 27th. Snacks are provided. Mi Casa es Su Casa. Also on March 27th will be an open house held at MATC's Education Center in Walker Square. Visitors may RSVP ahead of time online. Through the Milwaukee Direct Admit program, all MPS high school juniors can now apply for free to MATC and UWM within 5 minutes. Interested students visit the Milwaukee Public Schools website to apply. For these events and more, go to our website.
Thanks, James. Curious how humans explored the world before Google Maps? Student producer Ben Kadrowski visits a very special library dedicated to just that in this week's Hidden Gem KE.
Hello, I'm student producer Ben Kadrowski here at the American Geographical Society Library, or AGSL for short, in order to take a step into the past and see how we used to get around on this week's Hidden Gem KE. Located on the 3rd floor of UW Milwaukee's Golda-Meir Library and open to all guests from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., the AGSL is home to over 2 million items consisting of maps, globes, monographs, atlases, and more. What once were used as guides have now been repurposed to allow those interested in understanding the past to get a full scope of what it looked like back then. And even for those not as interested in history, it's still a sight to behold. They have pieces that date back to the early 20th century, like this map of Milwaukee. And they even have a few select pieces that date all the way back to the 15th century. This piece right here is the Mappa Mundi. It's a map of the world made in 1452 by Giovanni Lerdo. There's so much more to explore and look at in the ASGL. Just ask a librarian for assistance and let yourself be transported into the past.
I'm student producer Ben Kudrowski, and this has been another Hidden Gem KE. Now, it's time for me to find a map of this place so I can learn how to get out of here.
Yeah, the worst part is, even centuries later, no one knows how to fold up one of those maps. All right, thanks to Tyler and to Keenan for being my guest on the program today.
Thank you, James.
Gentlemen, always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.
It's been great.
And thanks to all of you for tuning in to another episode of MATC Now. I'm your host, James Charles, and we'll see you next week.